Sitting in the Zoom invite.
Awesome.
So you're in the process.
Graham,
I'm nuts.
you're gonna go 3 on nuts? Oh my goodness. No Trump?
That's it. Joining the parts.
All right, Wayne. Good choices. Awesome. Chad.
What's his address? Okay, now I believe of the new by memory, but it's exactly like that. Marius.Landman.
Okay. Andre.
At Yahoo.
Sorry?
Marius.Landman. I believe that's correct.
And Dash. Isn't Dash affordable to get a Masternode now?
Is it?
It's a little out of my reach.
That's what said to me the other day.
My father's name is
now.
also software.
I'm
I
like,
can't
what?
verify that.
And a side note, Nash
This is
has
it.
a contract
Should
for
be good.
marijuana.
Find him in there. Look for search the same email. Marius.Landman.
I sent it to you.
I don't know, but just I want to verify it's the correct email. So just verify.
But you won't be invited.
Oh, you did.
This is my contact.
Oh, hold on. Look that one.
That's a good
Search for Marius.
That was announced.
Search for Marius.
You're talking about percent? You want to make sure
I
the
just want to make sure that the emails are. Or look for me.
Okay,
You
Dave.
want to make sure the cent is what you're talking about.
Bitcoin
Yeah.
and nuts.
No, the one that I sent you.
I didn't see one from you.
No, I saw you saw look for Roger with the D.
Litecoin.
There we go.
Oh. Okay.
There we go.
Betty.
Okay. All right.
You're an observer,
Okay, I did.
so it's your popcorn here.
But anyways, I already sent it.
Oh, hold on. Click on there.
I'm sorry, I
Show
can't read
details.
it.
Marius Landman at Yahoo.com.
Mark.
Yeah, let's do this.
I gotta play this
There we
the first time.
So
I
now-
Yeah, that's a
Okay.
it takes a
So now,
Hey, just say something before the first time after. I actually just learning this, filling up. Going to where all pros are.
Partner, which I do. I pay him in Litecoin.
awesome.
And I grinch every time when I pay him in Litecoin because I know that that little bit of Litecoin that I paid him now is going to be worth probably $1,000. And the bugger, he knows it as well. And that's why he only accepts Litecoin.
Nice.
Yeah. And he's now got very clever too, because on his invoices he's got a little charge now, an admin charge, and that admin charge to manage his own finances is like 0.00 something Litecoin. So yeah, he's becoming like a bank now. But you know, we spread the money, we spread the wealth, because we know that you know, around our friends, the circle that we work in, we want those people to become 3 things. We want them to create wealth. Number 2, we want them to become debt-free. Don't have a mortgage, not a house payment, not a car payment, not a credit card. Snip it up and send it back to the bank. And number 3, once you're debt-free, we would like to help you to become a millionaire. And it's not impossible. And I tell you guys now, as sure as I sit here, that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are going to make the most amount of millionaires ever in the history of the world. Multi-level marketing has created many millionaires. Now, I don't want to associate Bitcoin with multi-level marketing, it's absolutely not, but I'm just giving you a scenario that in our opinion, we see that this industry is going to make a bunch of millionaires. And I give that from a perspective that the Australian government is totally behind cryptocurrencies. Now, I can pay my rates and taxes with cryptocurrencies. In the future, it's already in the government that we will be able to pay our taxes in cryptocurrencies. It's not yet, the legislation has not yet passed for that, but it is going that way. The Brisbane airport, for example, the international airport here in Brisbane, Australia, where I am from, they accept cryptocurrencies. You land, you can buy your coffee with cryptos, you can book a hotel room. I mean, we can now go to restaurants in Brisbane. And if you guys ever come into Brisbane, let me know. We would like to meet you and make you feel at home here. But in all the restaurants, yeah, come down. We're soon going to have a very, very large meeting here. Just to give you an idea, we just randomly posted out and said, listen, we just want around about 200 people to come together in Brisbane, close to where I live. And the room could only hold about 500 people. And 3 weeks ago, we had over 3,000 people. People had to stand outside. And we had to move, televisions outside so people can just see what's happening. And it was just a normal meetup, like what you guys have. And I tell you what, guys, this is going to it's going to get more and more and more. More people, meetings will become bigger. But the point of this is just what I wanted to let you know is that what we see here in Brisbane, in Australia, is that cryptocurrencies are taking over and the government is supporting that. So whatever news you hear from the Canadian government or the American government, they are just, it's something to fool the people where they say we don't support cryptocurrencies. Yes, the American government supports it. And I'm sure the Canadian government as well stand behind it. And I would not be surprised if Australia is a testing ground for the rest of the world, where the Americans asked the Australian government to say, listen, test it and see what happens. And that's why a lot of companies from Asia are moving over to Australia in a cryptocurrency space. And they run their businesses from here. So yeah, Roger, that's just a little bit of an introduction quickly, just to give you the confidence that cryptocurrencies are not going to go away.
Awesome. Awesome. So what parts of cryptocurrency are you involved in?
Roger, we've got a whole bunch of portfolios that we run, and I'll quickly give you a break of what we do. We've got a portfolio that belongs to and remember, everything I say here, please just keep it confidential. We don't want to go and tweet all these things out and, keep it between your team. But we've got a portfolio that we run for the Saudis. Now, remember, these guys are Muslims, but my understanding about these Muslims, working with them for the last 3-4 years, they're very nice people. As a matter of fact, they trust me so much that they just transfer money to me and we manage their funds for them. I've got no problem working with them, and everybody all over the world, we all want to get out of debt and get away from our governments taking so much tax from us. So we run a fund for them, and these Saudis or the Middle Eastern people, it's a special fund for them. What these guys are doing, they transfer money on a weekly basis, millions of dollars, and the instructions are very clear: buy Bitcoin, Litecoin, Digibyte. Those three.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know what these guys know, but they're very good people. As a matter of fact, okay, I won't say the rest, but as a matter of fact, these guys, they're just good people. But they have been buying Bitcoin when Bitcoin was $19,000 or $20,000. We advised them and said, listen, we don't believe that you should buy now. And the instructions to me was, listen, we don't care, just buy. As soon as our money becomes available, buy and never sell. Now, in their fund, like yesterday, we bought $2.1 million worth of Litecoin for them. Now,
nice.
Interesting thing that I just want to explain to you here. When you look at the market cap of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, that market cap is not 100% true, because I can go over the counter and buy Litecoin and it doesn't reflect in the market cap, and it doesn't reflect actually in the sales. So just remember that what you guys see is not the full picture. Not everything is disclosed on, let's say, TradingView and the sales that go through. As a matter of fact, I can buy coins from another account by just transferring that coins, but I've bought them. But that sale does not go through as a sale, if you understand what I mean. But the point being is, Roger, that these guys are buying Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Digibyte as much as they can lay their hands on. They don't care about price. They don't sell. They don't care if the market goes up today or down. Whenever the money is available, we buy. Then we've got another fund for Texas, which we basically run from Texas, which are basically oil magnates. These are people that are very high up in the oil and gas industry. And many of my clients include CEOs. Their instructions are clear. They buy Bitcoin and Litecoin. That's where the rich people are investing their money. And I've just now recently introduced them to Digibyte, because I believe that Digibyte is one of the very stronger coins with good usability. And we have to look at usability. You know, a coin that's being used is a good coin to have in your portfolio. And then we run a whole bunch of other portfolios. Of course, we invest money for other people. We run a fund, which is a conservative fund. And that conservative fund from the beginning of the year till today has made about 160% profit. Now, it's not impossible, you know, because we sell high and we buy low. Exactly what's happening with the market now. The market now is going to go up into a high point over this weekend, Friday, Saturday. It could go over to Monday and Tuesday at the high point. And that is the point where we tell our subscribers to get out of the market. And then we wait. We just gradually wait till the market comes down and we buy the low again. And the next low is going to be around about the first or second week in November. And that is where we get back in the market and we ride the wave up again. So in our model portfolio, the one that we run, we hold coins like NEO, EOS, IOTA, Digibyte, ZRX, OX, and Tron. I should probably just bring it up and I can actually give you an idea of what we hold there.
Nuts.
Nuts are our coin. That's we got the plug in there, and we do have a question from Roger. I'm actually Kevin, but Roger does have a question.
Okay.
And the question was, ask about Marius's artificial intelligence system too. That's something that we're curious about hearing a little bit about when you got some time. You show us here.
Yeah, everybody wants to know how we work at these prices. Yeah, just quickly, our coins are Bitcoin, OMG, Litecoin, Ethereum, NEO, XLM, great coin, XLM. QTIM, EOS, IOTA, Digibyte, PPT, TRX, BAT, Bitcoin Cash, QSP, and ZRX.
All right.
So those are the coins that we stick with. You know, the thing is, you know, you can look at a whole bunch of other coins like OCN, for example, and OCN will have a spike and suddenly it goes up 150%. And then everybody jumps in that coin. And then a week later, it just drops 80%. So we are more of you know, we want to do it old school. We invest in cryptos that we believe that will be there in about a year or two from now, or 6 months from now, because not all the coins will be there in a year from now. Some will fail, and some are failing right now. So we don't go and chase all these other coins that suddenly goes up and spikes up. And yeah, we miss out on them. Although I must admit that we use about 5% of our portfolio to run after those coins if we catch it, because it's literally like catching a falling knife, you know. You may be lucky by catching it, but you can't predict those prices. I can, with a clear understanding, predict where EOS, NEO, OMG, IOTA will be, because they follow more or less at the moment the same path as Bitcoin. So this is why we just stick with those. But there's nothing wrong with investing a small part of your portfolio in these other coins that I talk about, or your tokens or altcoins. So yeah, Kevin, everybody really wants to know how we actually predict or work out. I don't want to use the word prediction, but forecast, how we forecast our data. Now, first of all, my clients include big name oil brands, you know, like, you know, I studied in America, University of California, finished my degrees there, went and worked for Shell, BP, mostly in the oil and gas industry. And very quickly, I ran up in the ranks really quickly. So in 2008, right at the economic collapse, I developed a process. It's like a set of rules to be followed in calculations for problem-solving operations. Basically, that is what we called an algorithm. And this algorithm could potentially indicate when a fatality in the oil and gas sector could occur, considering, of course, now the past data from 10 or 20 years ago, compared to current trend changes in management systems, policies, and procedures. So to dumb that down, I would take, let's say, like, for example, Shell, their policies, procedures, work instructions, safe method work statements. I would input that data into my system. Then I would go back and I would look at near misses, hazards, all those kind of things that happen, and even fatalities, and then input that in my data, correlate these two together in my algorithm. And because of the past data, I can then now predict and say to the oil and gas company that I work with, according to your data, there is a potential that you are going to have a 1.75 fatality. Now, this, I'm very famous in Australia for calling a fatality with a very big oil and gas company this year, and we said that they could have a 1.75 fatality. And here in July, unfortunately, they did have a fatality. We actually gave them the information, what they need to use to safeguard against that fatality. They didn't do it. And now suddenly they're coming back, and we just predicted that they're going to have another 2.26 fatalities from now till the end of the year. Now, the reason I tell you this is because that same model that we use, that I use for the oil and gas industry. Now, remember, I've been in the oil and gas industry now for 20 years, and also worked for a very large company, which is all over the world, a consultancy company, RPS Group. Now, what we do, we take that same algorithm data, sorry, the algorithm model. And what I did is I took the data, and I don't want to give too much away here, but I took the data of the last 9 years of Bitcoin. And I pulled that to pieces. And at any given time, you can have around 600 to 700 data points in a chart for the year. So we redeveloped those charts, remarked them. I imported that data into the algorithm. I aligned the points or nodes to connect to each other. And then we said, okay, right, according to your past data, Bitcoin, what is the potential for the next 30 days, what Bitcoin will do? And it kicked us out a result. And I went and placed some money on Bitcoin, and lo and behold, you know, it worked exactly as per the prediction of the old data. Now remember, life works exactly the same. Everything in life is exactly numbers. It works the same. Your mind works the same. Your method of doing things is exactly the same. And I'm going to explain it like this. Now, whatever you think, if you think and say where you want to be in the next 5 years or 6 years, if you listen to what you say, that is where you are going to be. If you constantly say to yourself that I am going to be in debt, I can't get out of debt, I'm going to lose my job, it's going to happen because you kind of predict what you say in the future. And I know I'm getting a little bit off track here by explaining, you know, things a little bit subjective.
That's
but,
okay.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit abnormal from the normal guy. You know, we don't do Elliott wave. You'll notice that Elliott wave doesn't even work on Bitcoin at the moment. The only thing that works is algorithm, subjective analysis, and a little bit of, you know, hearsay, kind of. But if you want to know where you will be in 5 years from now, listen to what you say. If you say I'm going to lose my job, it's going to happen. Now, for me, I grew up in South Africa, and I grew up in an orphanage. I never met my dad. And when I was at the age of 12 years old, being alone in an orphanage, you grow up on your own. You know, you kind of like at that time, I'm 49 years old now, and you can remember when I was 12 years old, that's 30 years ago. I mean, the world was different. If you grew up in an orphanage, you were a despised little kid. You know, nobody wanted to pay attention to you, which was kind of nice for us as well, you know, because we could just do whatever we want. And no one really worried about us. Made it a little bit tough in school. But up till we grew up, we were so poor that at one day, my sister and I had to cut a boiled egg in half, and she had to eat the half and I ate the other half. Now, at the age of 12 years old, the only thing that I had was my mind. And I didn't have any money. I didn't have parents. I didn't have anybody that I could rely on because nobody was there to help. They didn't care. Nobody wanted to do anything. So I decided to put my mind to work. And I said to myself, but listen, I've only got my mind. People are telling me that your mind is the most powerful thing. And I sat one day in a church, and the pastor was preaching and said, if you believe that you can lift up this mountain, this mountain will wipe itself in the sea. And that just started working in my mind, that listen, my mind must be powerful. And then for the next year, I visualized what I want. And lo and behold, a year later, I achieved exactly what I put my mind to work. And later in years, I believe that I could become a lot more powerful, become whatever I think. And at the age of 17, 18 years old, I decided that I want to go into the military and I want to become the best special force operator that there is in the world. And I didn't achieve that, but I became a very highly ranked special force lieutenant in the parachute battalion, which is the special operations in South Africa. And I served under 2 presidents, and one of the presidents was Nelson Mandela. And I even trained Nelson Mandela's bodyguards and became a highly decorated soldier at that point. I then resigned and then basically got in the oil and gas industry. The point of me telling you this is that everything that you put your mind to, you are going to achieve it because of your past history. The algorithms work exactly the same. What has happened in the past, the predictions of Bitcoin, if you can take that data and you project that data forward, it gives you an indication of what is going to happen with the price of Bitcoin. Now, the problem that we sit with Bitcoin at the moment is that Bitcoin is heavily manipulated since last year. We could analyze up till the 10th of March this year. We could predict with a certainty exactly to the dollar where Bitcoin is going to go. Since the 10th of March, Bitcoin has been completely and utterly erratic. Now we are looking at manipulating of data where people are buying cryptos and trying to sell it. As a matter of fact, what's happening now in the last 51 days, you just see how sideways Bitcoin is moving. And as soon as Bitcoin wants to break out, we see that every minute they are selling an X number of Bitcoins at a lower price, and it brings the price down. So it's completely manipulated. But at the end, like what's going to happen now over this weekend, for example, we believe that Bitcoin is going to break upwards, and it could, we don't know how high it's going to go, but it is going to break upwards going into this weekend and perhaps over next weekend, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So that's just in short, Kevin, how we actually work at our algorithm. I can tell you a little bit more, but then I'll give away all our secrets. You know, we've just got the algorithm is now a patent pending in the USA.
Fantastic. Congratulations. That's awesome. Yeah, exciting stuff. So what's in the future for your group? Are you looking at further acquisitions of coins? Are you looking at getting into any of the physical aspects of crypto mining or anything such as that?
Yes, absolutely, Kevin. The next step for our group is that we're going to show people how to get into crypto mining. I've been to a few mines where they basically mine Bitcoin and a whole bunch of other cryptocurrencies, Ethereum, etc. We're also going to show people how to get involved in gold. Now, you guys may be interested in that because I realize that you guys are a little bit older folks like myself too, 49, getting into 50. And what we want to do is to preserve our capital, number one, and number two, get it out of the eye of the taxman and declare your taxes on your own accord. So what we are setting up, Kevin, is I don't want to give too much away now, but I will give it to you guys in the future. It's how it's going to work is you will be able to take your Bitcoin in your Bitcoin wallet, move that to a secret location into the in the world, which is a tax haven. Then what we are going to show you is how to take your Bitcoin and buy gold with that Bitcoin. A simple transaction, very little fees. So you buy the gold, and then we're going to show you, you can do it in one transaction, how to convert your gold into euro. Then linked to that euro is a anonymous card, like a debit or a credit card, with no name on it. It's anonymous, that you then can use to pay your rates and taxes in America, in Canada, wherever you live.
Bravo!
You can pay rates and taxes.
Good response on that one.
Yeah. You'll be able to buy food, buy coffee, all anonymous. And this is what the rich people are doing at the moment. And this is the thing that we as little people don't know yet. And I'm going to bring this to our group quietly without everybody really noticing. Now I've got my card and I'm buying coffee with that. I even paid my tax bill with that card.
That's exciting.
Now I don't want to get into too much tax detail here, but you can understand what I mean. If you have Bitcoin, let's say if you mine Bitcoin and you make money out of that, you can literally move that Bitcoin to that wallet. Nobody knows that it belongs to you. You then buy gold, and whatever you do is up to you to declare your tax. You'll find the system very intriguing. And now to give you an idea, I don't know if you guys know who Robert Kiyosaki is.
Some do, yes.
Okay. Now, one of Robert Kiyosaki's right-hand men is a guy that I just managed to sit in the airplane in business class next to. And little did I know that Robert Kiyosaki is the brain behind all this. And it's amazing what you learn when you meet these people and you hear what they say and what they do and the wealth they create. I'm not saying avoid taxes, but
do what you can.
But yeah.
Yep.
And it's all legal. It's not an illegal process. You know, you still have to declare your taxes, but you have to declare your taxes whatever you think it is.
Yes, exactly.
So
it's a big improvement.
Yeah. So Kevin, yeah, that is next what we are going to do. Of course, we're just waiting for this market just to get going. We see the market now, as I said, going up in this week. We should have a spike. Let me just see where we are now. Actually, what's the market doing? Yeah, so we believe there's going to be a spike in the next few hours, in the next 16 hours or so. But the market is supposed to go up, and then in October we see a low point in October, and then whatever you guys do, just get back into the market the first or second week in November, and then it's going to be all up. There is going to be a big drop in December, and that drop could be very large. But remember, Bitcoin will go up a lot, and then a spike downwards, and then you're going into January. You'll be making insane money.
Well, we like the sounds of that. Yeah. A lot of people here have been into crypto for quite some time, and we're all avid enthusiasts too. So you're saying what we like to hear.
Yeah, we hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. So, thank you very much. I'd like to see if we've maybe got a couple of questions here from the group. And anybody got questions? Francis just had a question here, and the question was, what's your take on Digibyte? You happen to mention, and he's a Digibyte enthusiast as well. You feel that it's a good bet?
Yes, absolutely. You look at Digibyte, it does transactions extremely fast. It's being adopted worldwide. It's being adopted in Australia like crazy. And I first started taking notice of that when I went to a coffee shop and I wanted to pay, and the lady said to me over the phone, over the counter, "Could you please pay in Digibyte?" And this was a while ago. And I said, "Why do you want it in Digibyte?" And she was just a normal barrister making, a coffee. What do you call these people making coffee? A barista, just making coffee. And she didn't know anything about Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. And she couldn't tell me really why she wanted Digibyte. But she said, "Well, I looked at it and I think it's going to move up." And this is the thing about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. The person who knows the least about Bitcoin is just out of default going to become a millionaire because of what this lady said to me. I went back to the office. Of course, I couldn't pay in Digibyte because I didn't own Digibyte at that time. And I went back to the office, went and studied Digibyte, and to my surprise, I saw a huge team working behind the scenes. And it's actually on my website at some point. We then, after I did the research, I recommended to our subscribers and said, listen, buy Digibyte. It's going to go up almost 100% now. And those people who took the recommendation, it was in our reports, literally I put 50,000 in and literally made about 92,000. And in a very short period of time. Now, if you look at the team behind it, the development team, the fact that it's being used worldwide, and the fact that the transaction cost is like barely anything and it's fast, that has got the trademarks of a coin that is being adopted worldwide. At the moment, we see Digibyte just really low, stagnating. It's not a big problem because remember, all coins in the world are now stagnated. Bitcoin is not moving up. It's not making a change in direction. So it's not a problem with Digibyte. Now, what also got me really excited was when my people in the Middle East, when they sent me a message and said, here's some extra money, only buy Digibyte. This is after I did my work. And these guys are well-known, well-interacted, or they interact with a lot of rich people all over the world. They know what's happening. And if they did that without me telling them, that for me was another sign. And that's why Digibyte is now a big, big position in our portfolios. And I don't plan to sell it either. I know it's going to drop a little bit further now, but I'm not going to do the effort and sell it, because you wait 30 days, the market goes up again. Who cares, because you've got so much coins, you can't just simply go and sell everything. It takes a lot of effort. And where do you sell it into? You sell it into USDT. There's a lot of FUD with USDT. Where do we sell it? You can't simply keep it on exchanges. I mean, it's a big problem. So with some of my coins, I just keep it because I know Bitcoin is going to go sky high. Now, keep in mind that if you look at cause and consequences, there's always a risk. The risk is basically investing in cryptocurrencies. The risk is on the side, the consequence is that we can lose everything.
Yes.
But the upside is that if you don't invest, you could potentially miss out on becoming the next multimillionaire, or making insane money, or just becoming debt free.
Yes.
So for me, it's better to take that risk. And all of us are smart enough, that we won't lose all our money. But let's say if the market does drop down and goes to zero, I'll be out of the market long before that, converted back into cash, and I just start over with something else.
Yes.
But I tell you what now, guys, I just don't see cryptocurrencies going to zero. Not when the Australian government has made it like a law that we can use cryptocurrencies for payments.
We sure hope that happens.
Yeah.
That's where we're waiting for that. It's not happening just yet. Do we have any other questions? Cheryl, you got a question? Mark, you got a question?
Yeah, I'm a new investor. I just got involved this. I watched this whole process for about a year and a half.
I'll reiterate the question for you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I've been watching this process for about a year and a half. Just a new guy here, and I'm not involved yet. Don't have a lot of money to invest right now. Just trying to get set up. And say if I wanted to invest my first $500, and would you say it would be a better time right now to invest in the Bitcoin itself, like the big Bitcoin, or maybe buy 4 or 5 other smaller ones, being that Bitcoin's going to be going up? Or if Bitcoin is going to be going up, like you say right now, would it be good just to drop it in there and take the proceeds from the 500 that I make on that, leave the initial 500 in?
Okay. So I think the question is he's a new investor in crypto, and he just wants to know if Bitcoin is a good investment to start out with.
Yes, Bitcoin is a good investment to start off with, but there are better coins that you can get into right now. 2 of the coins that I would recommend very, very easily to anybody is if you've got $500, buy 2 coins. It's Stellar, which is called XLM, or Digibyte. and I would split the $500 in two of them, 250 in Digibyte, 250 in Stellar. You'll see that Stellar will easily go back to $1, and Digibyte we've got an 850% gain on Digibyte. Now, you won't get an 850% gain on Bitcoin, not
That's
now.
true.
Bitcoin will maybe double to 12,000 and then double again to 24,000. See, if that happens, Digibyte will go up over 1,000% gains. And Stellar Lumens, or XLM, the code is XLM, is going to do the same. It's going to go up 9 or 10 times. But Bitcoin won't go up 9 or 10 times. Not now, maybe in 3 or 4 years from now. So your best bet, and let me just tell you this. My wife, Wendy, she went without my knowledge, and she went and invested $15,000 on a coin which is called XVG. XVG went up 34,000%. Yeah, she made $2.25 million, and she doesn't work anymore.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, she's got a job, and that job is now called shopping.
That's awesome. Awesome. Yeah. So I guess anybody can be an expert then.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a true story. And Wendy will soon come out and tell her story, because she's been taking a year off and just do nothing. And now she wants to get back into cryptos. And, you know, so don't be surprised if you invest something like $250 in Digibyte and you end up making $25,000 or $50,000. Wow, don't be surprised, you know. So those two coins are the two coins that I would recommend right at the moment now. Number one, they're all being used. The usability all over the world is great development teams, and their transaction rates are very, very good. Cheap too.
Okay, we've got one more question here. What are your thoughts on the long-term price for a Bitcoin, Litecoin, and ETH? And I guess long-term as in the next year or two? Or longer, 5 years?
Yeah, I will tell you what my algorithm shows, and then I won't use my own ideas, but I'll just tell you what the algorithm shows. Our algorithm shows that we're going to have 4 years of upwards move. So now, first of all, you must understand that a Bitcoin year works different than a calendar year. The Bitcoin year works from 1 April till the next year, 31 March. Okay, so you get that concept? So that is a Bitcoin year. So we are almost now, what are we now, from April, May, June, July, August, September. We are now 7 months kind of into the Bitcoin year. This is why people are looking at Bitcoin and they're saying, but why is it not going up? It's almost the end of the year. It's not. It's the middle of the Bitcoin year. Now, the reason or the way that we found this out is that, remember, Bitcoin launched supposedly in 2088, just after the financial crisis. We had an anonymous source send us 9 months worth of data where Bitcoin was traded 9 months before it was launched. So this whole idea that Satoshi Nakamoto developed Bitcoin is not really the truth. And supposedly, remember, here in Australia, the police and the FBI and the CIA, everybody came and made this huge scene in Australia that we have found Satoshi Nakamoto, and they even broke into a house and bashed the house, and, you know, the police were there, like helicopters were there. It was crazy. I don't know if you guys saw it on television. It was like finding Osama bin Laden. Now, when they made that fuss, everybody in Australia, you know, we're smart enough, we know what's happening. We said, Satoshi Nakamoto doesn't exist. This is this is like there's nuclear weapons somewhere, and let's go and attack these guys. You know what the Americans do anyway, you know, like Saddam Hussein with his pile of missiles, weapons of mass destruction, which was never there. So
Yeah, exactly.
in our opinion, at that time, I said that this guy doesn't exist. Now, we develop software as well, and, you know, I know how to do these things, work in C++ and Python and all that kind of stuff. So somebody sent us this data not so long ago of 9 months worth of data where Bitcoin was traded internally. Now remember, they say there's like 10,000 Bitcoins, they can't find it, and the people who own it, in my opinion, and I'm just going to tell you what my opinion is, I have got no basis to say that, but I tell you now that I think the American government owns those Bitcoins, because they know that Bitcoin is going to go to $1 million in the end, and maybe a lot more. And then what can they do? They can then pay off their debt very quickly, if they are going to pay it off, because it's all a big scam how they work the debt and all that kind of stuff out, you know. What we see in our algorithm is that Bitcoin will go up 4 more years. Now remember, in the 4 years, we are now 6 months, 7 months inside that 4 years. Now it works exactly like Elliott wave, where we go up 1 leg and then it comes down. You go up at 2, come down 3, and it comes down, and then we've got an extended leg in Bitcoin where it goes up to an all-time high, breaking $1 million by far. Now, if I really give you my figure that I have for Bitcoin by the end of that cycle, you probably will not believe me. But remember when John McAfee came out and said that Bitcoin is going to reach $1 million in the next not so far future, just remember that John McAfee is one of our premium members, and he subscribes to our data. And he's also tweeted out and said that my algorithm is never wrong. He gets the information from us. And we were the first people in the world to predict that Bitcoin will reach $1 million according to our algorithm. So we see Bitcoin at a very, very high point by the end of this Bitcoin cycle, going into January, February, March. My initial figure was $106,000 for Bitcoin. Now, that is the algorithm data. That is what it kicks out. Now, keep in mind that we also said in our algorithm that Bitcoin by now, as of today, should be at 9,028. And Bitcoin is still now at 6,500. So the lowest point, in our opinion, for Bitcoin could be around about $60,000. But there's going to be, and this is only this Bitcoin year. Now, what is going to happen over the following year, 2019, 2020, is going to be bigger than this year. If Bitcoin goes to 60, this thing can potentially then go to 300 or 400,000. And then obviously the next year is then a lot bigger too. And then the 4th year is going to be a very small bump in price. And the 4th year is where Bitcoin is going to go sideways forever. Whatever that price is, we will start working in Satoshis. So if you tell somebody that I own, let's say like 500,000 Satoshis, you'll be like a rich person. Because of course we can have inflation in that time as well. So there's a whole bunch of other factors to consider. Now, if you own, let's say for example, 10 Bitcoins, and you tell people that you own 10 Bitcoins, it's going to be like unbelievable. You own 10 Bitcoins? Because people will be accumulating Satoshis instead of Bitcoins. You won't be able to buy a Bitcoin because it will be worth $1 million or more. Nobody has got that money. So now you also have to understand that there's only 21 million Bitcoins in the world. Let's say, for example, 2 million of that is lost. The government in America and Australia and wherever, they own these cryptocurrencies as well. Don't forever think that they don't. I mean, they are buying and holding these cryptocurrencies, especially Bitcoin, Litecoin, and a whole bunch of other coins. Now, so we see the price of Bitcoin just skyrocketing and then going flat. And you will never, ever again be able to make money out of cryptocurrencies, because for Bitcoin to be world adopted in 4 years from now, it must be stable. And the price can't go from 6,000 to 20, from 20,000 to 14,000 for a worldwide currency. It can't happen like that. So this is just what we see, Kevin, in our data. And there's a mathematical analysis how we worked it out to come to that point. I just want to tell you something else about Satoshi Nakamoto. When we received the data from this anonymous source, if you stretch the data out over 12 months, it's the exact same pattern as the other 8 or 9, 10 years on average. So there's a definite pattern in Bitcoin that you can follow to see the high points and the low points. And if you just buy low, sell high, you'll make money. The other thing is also that you must remember that if you look at the development of the blockchain, okay, think about this now. If your insurance company brings out a software that you use, or Microsoft or Apple, whenever they bring a new product out, there's 10, 12, 50, 100 bloody updates, okay? Now with blockchain, they bring it out and there's never ever been an update. Oh, it just works perfectly just by accident. You know, so it's been developed and used 6, 7, 9, 2 years maybe. There's even a document, Kevin, I'm not sure if you saw the document on my website of 1998, a secret document between the governments, where the American government were talking about cryptocurrencies. You can just go to my website, there's a document. It's a true document. We validated the document, signed and sealed, where they were talking about developing cryptocurrencies to take out fiat. So this is not a new idea that came sudden in 2008. It's one that has been developed way back in 1998. And they tell you exactly how they're going to do it. The interesting aspect as well, I want to give you one, if there's any developers in the room there, if you go to blockchain and import the code into C++, okay, it's a Microsoft software, what you're going to find, if you search there, there's a code of Microsoft that is patented. Only Microsoft can use that. No one else in the world. But that certain code is used in the blockchain for Bitcoin. Who gave them permission to use the patented code? So there's a lot more going on here. It's just Satoshi Nakamoto somewhere in Japan or Australia. You know, this is the way of the future. And what the governments are doing now, and all these people manipulating the market, is trying to get rid of people that are owning Bitcoin and Litecoin. They don't want you to own Bitcoin. Because if there's only 20 million Bitcoins left, if 10 million people in the world own 2 Bitcoins each, they control the world markets. It's not a lot of people. There's 7 billion people on Earth. 10 million people that own 2 Bitcoins can own the entire stack of Bitcoin. And that's why the price is going to go to $1 million or 2 million or even $5 million. Wow. So if I tell you what we see in our data, you will just not believe it. And it sounds impossible now, okay? But way back when Bitcoin was $1, could you ever imagine that Bitcoin would reach $20,000? And remember, that cycle is still up. We have never, ever gone below the break line. This is why I constantly tell people that, listen, the market is not in a downtrend. The market is in an uptrend. Just enlarge your time span. You know, if you look at where Bitcoin started to where it's now, it's never, ever broken the support line. Not close. It's still in an uptrend. But the market must go up and must come down and then go up and down. That's what it does. It still hasn't stopped. It will stop in 3.5 years.
Wow, fantastic. That's well, if that happens, we'll definitely all be in Australia visiting. And what are your thoughts? One last question here, if we could. What about Litecoin? You've mentioned that before. Is Litecoin a good bet as well?
Yes, absolutely. Litecoin, first of all, what you need to understand about Litecoin. Okay, in the beginning of the year, you saw so much news about Litecoin. You saw good news, bad news, just a whole bunch of news. Did you realize that there's no news about Litecoin in the last 2 months?
No, nothing much.
It's a total blackout.
Yeah.
They don't want to pay attention to Litecoin. One of my best friends, who's most likely going to be the first billionaire in cryptos, and he started all on his own. I'm not talking about the Winklevoss brothers and all those other people, but he's literally going to become a billionaire. He's very well connected with banks. And I'm just telling you personally what he told me, is that the banks, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, they are buying Litecoin like crazy. And the sales of Litecoin is unbelievable what's happening. Nobody is selling Litecoin, but they're accumulating and buying Litecoin. Number 2, there's a total blackout of Litecoin all over mainstream media. Now, mainstream media is the evil that you need to understand. They're not our friends. They work for the big banks, for the big organizations. Now, very interesting, actually, as a matter of fact, there was news that came out in this week, about a week ago or 4 or 5 days ago, said that Bitfinex is going to collapse, and everybody that has got money on the exchange in Bitfinex, which is in Hong Kong, and I've been there, I've spoken to the CEOs and the people who run it, solid company. The news came out and said that Bitfinex is going to collapse and your money will be lost. Okay, interesting enough, we went and researched where did the news come from. The news came initially from 3 sources: MSNBC, CBS, CNBC. Released exactly at 7:44 p.m. that specific day. They all had 3 different articles with the same content. So that immediately in our algorithm data kicked up a red flag and said fake news.
Wow.
How? Because to do that, you must write the report, consult with these people, and say, here is the script for everybody. And if you look back at what some commentators said about Bitfinex, it's almost the same script. Because they're getting a little bit clever now. They changed the scripts a little bit, but if you put it in words and you put it on your computer, and you know, there's a system in Word where you can say overlay and merge. There you can see where the merged sentences are. It's all induced, written by people. Now, these are people manipulating the market on an extremely high level. And don't think that this is a conspiracy theory. You know, I'm not saying that. You know, I'm just saying there's definite evidence that this information is induced. I picked up the phone and I spoke to Bitfinex and I said, listen, guys, what's happening? They didn't even know about the news. And they said, listen, no, we don't know anything about it, but we can tell you that we are going to do system upgrades on Friday.
Oh.
How convenient is it for the media to bring out the news knowing that they're going to do the system upgrades, and then it looks like there's something wrong with Bitfinex? What do all the people do now? They go and sell their Bitcoin cryptocurrencies, get out of the market, take cash, move it out. Number one, now they have to pay tax. Number two, they don't own Bitcoin anymore. To get back in the market is going to cost them a lot more percentage as well, and fees. This is how these guys work. JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, it's a complete lie, these guys. They say we don't believe in cryptocurrencies, but they are buying and setting up their own exchanges. And we've researched that. They are definitely setting up their own exchanges, and they getting ready to trade for their customers. But on the other hand, they tell the public they're not interested in cryptocurrencies, and they see it's going to go to zero and all that kind of stories. So yeah, Kevin, I mean, the future for cryptocurrencies is really bright. They bring the markets down because they want people to sell. And it's not working. This is what's happening now. You see the low volume on Bitcoin. No, nobody that I know is selling their Bitcoin.
That's true.
So it's not working for them. And this is why we say the elite is going to lose control very, very shortly.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Mm.
Well, I thank you very much for your time. It was a great meeting, and you've certainly enlightened us all a lot. Can you tell us where we can get more information about your website and some of the things you talk about on a regular basis?
Yeah, you can go to my website, mariuslandman.com, and you can probably just go and subscribe. It's only $24.95. But Kevin, in all honesty, I don't mind if you guys share the reports amongst your team. You know, our goal is not yet to make money. You know, $24.95 is not really going to make me rich every month. But, you know, there's a reason we charge a small amount of money for our subscriptions. And that is because we had 3 lawsuits because we provided data free of charge. And then people started suing us. And then our insurance company then told us, but listen, the only way that you can get away from being sued and is when you provide a subscribers base where people agree to terms and conditions. And so they basically agree, they pay the money. Now we know they're in the system and they can't sue us. And one of the companies that's just so you guys know is JP Morgan, you know, who was behind this whole thing, and it was thrown out of court because they didn't have any jurisdiction in Australia, and that is why we run it from Australia. And if you know that in Australia how it works is when somebody sues you international, you can get government funding to protect yourself. And of course, we've got insurance. So I don't really want you guys, the purpose of this meeting is not really to get you guys to sign up and become a subscriber. As I say, it's not going to make me rich, Kevin, but you guys can probably just take the reports, download it, and email that to everybody. And just keep it in your team. You know, of course, we don't want you to put it on social media and all those places. But in the event that some of you want to sign up, you're welcome just to go to my website, mariuslandman.com, or steer people in that direction.
Fantastic. Thank you. Well, thank you very much, Marius. We really appreciate your time. It was a fantastic meetup. Give a round of applause for Marius.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
Thank you. We'll close it out on that, and have yourself a great evening and a wonderful weekend.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.